Hi, everyone. This is Kathleen Dorsey of Collective Wisdom Masterminds program here in Baltimore area as well as globally. We were kicking off this new series, which is an interview series that I want to do with top-notch professionals in different industries. And I was being really clever. And I was going to use Zoom and go live on Facebook. And I did it yesterday and it worked perfectly. And for the last 4 minutes, I can't get it to work. So we are going to do our interview on Zoom, and then you'll be seeing this on demand later. So Jen, I want to introduce our speaker today, which is who is Jenn Pak of JetPak Branding here in the Baltimore metro area. And she, once again, can help you wherever you are on this globe. So what we're doing is taking about 10 or 15 minutes. We are going to explore some business topics, and today's topic is branding. We hear that word all the time as business owners. When I hear it, I think of big business. I think of Apple. I think of Starbucks. I think of those big brands, Nike, that we just know what their brand is. But as small business owners, we need to understand our brand and understand it to the point where we need to actually understand it before we know how we're going to be marketing. So that's where Jen's going to help us out. So Jenn, if you want to introduce yourself quickly, and then you can give us your thoughts on that.
Sure. So like Kathleen said, I'm Jenn Pak from JetPak Branding. I have been working in this space for about 20 years, and I love talking about branding. It's one of those anomalies that people don't always seem to understand, that it always kind of gets mixed in with a logo, and while the logo may be the face of your brand, it's not actually your brand. Your brand is what people see or what you're conveying to other people and how they are reacting to your business. So you have a lot of control, but you don't have all the control. So it's really important that you work out your messaging to reflect the brand that you're trying to convey, and authentically.
So what kind of questions can we be asking ourselves as business owners to get to the core of that? What are we all about? What is our brand?
The biggest question is, who is your target market? Because that's going to impact how you're going to speak to those particular individuals. So if you're talking to individuals that are, 14 to 18, it's going to be much different than you're talking to individuals that are 35 to 45. So it's really important to understand who that client is or that customer is before you really take it to that next level of what your message is going to be.
Okay, great. And when you're starting to work with clients and they come to you and they've had their logo for 20 years and they've had their website for 15 and it looks like it. And they have their brochure and this is what they do for marketing. What's the first thing you look at, not just with the assets that they have for their marketing, but for what they're telling to others about their company? What kind of triggers are you looking for?
I'm always looking for consistency first, because one of the things about building a brand is having that consistent look, feel, and message across the board. And if your business has been open for a while, there's definitely going to be some times where you kind of moved ahead with some things, but there was other things you couldn't really afford to do yet, or you didn't have the budget for it, or it just wasn't necessary. So really making sure that everything looks consistent across the board with that same look and feel is really what I look at first.
So I know I've owned businesses for 22 years, and I've talked to many people in your industry prior, and they all talk about colors and they all talk about the fonts and is it? And we want to all say hello to the dog in the back.
Yes.
Like the best part of
the house.
Actual colors to stay away from, or font, like I don't know. That's all like artsy stuff, and it makes a huge difference in some ways. But I don't know. What's your opinion about all that?
Again, it's all about the message you're trying to convey. So if you're more of a modern company and you're trying to talk to that, that younger generation, you're going to want to use a modern typeface, clean lines, very bold text, big colors that are going to attract their attention. But if that's not your brand and you're more traditional, you can use something that's a sans serif typeface, and you can use more muted colors. Or if you're a spa, you're going to choose muted colors over bright, bold jewel tones. It's really just going to make a difference on who you are and what you're trying to say. I wouldn't say there's colors to stay away from per se, but I mean, there's rules of thumb. If you're an accountant, don't use red. It's just it's not a good, stuff like that. But there's no hard and fast rule that, don't use this color, use this color.
Okay, perfect. So let's say that it's a newer company. And I'm thinking of, the shoe company, is it TomTom?
Mhm.
I'm thinking about them, and they're a shoe company, but when you think of their brand, you think of more than that. You think about their community consciousness, and is that something to really start to get your head around as a business and brand?
Right, if it's part of your brand. So Toms themselves, they have built their brand based on being that community activist. They have built it around the philanthropy of it all. That doesn't work for every industry or every company, but for their particular brand, it does. And it is something to consider. If there's a way that you can align with some sort of philanthropic cause and it mirrors your brand, it's a great way to get your message out there and help people.
Okay. What are some tricks that you use to get the personality of the business into their communication and into their marketing and their brand?
Depending on the size of the company, I go through a really rigorous interview process. I have a couple different pages of questions that I'll sit down and go over with the business owner and then also the employees as well. Because what the business owner sees and then what the employees see are two completely different things. So it actually gives me much more wide variety of information, and then I can pull out the little bits that are consistent, and the things that they want to add into that, we can add that messaging in as well. But really seeing where they are from the beginning and how their employees and their customers feel about them is a huge way to start. It's harder when you're a newer company. When you are just starting out, you don't have that type of information to gather, but then you can kind of use what other people have done and then build on top of that based on what your goals are.
Okay, great. That's great advice. So I now have worked with you. I think I know who we are, after all of your questionnaires and you getting it out of my head. Now what? So, okay, we have this message. We know who we are. What do you do after that?
So again, it all depends on who your target market is and what your goals are. So if you are a multi-million-dollar company with a sales team, your marketing materials are going to be much different than somebody that's a solopreneur and just getting started. So if your business is going to be more online, I'm going to be driving you more towards a really good web presence. I'm going to ask you to do SEO. I'm going to ask you to do messaging. I'm going to give you a full package based on what your goals are for that online presence. If you're trying to do offline and you want to build out your sales team, then we're going to build out a really nice marketing tool that they can either bring on an iPad or a printed material. So it really just depends on what the goals are going forward from that. And then identifying those different ways to disseminate the message to the target market that we're trying to access.
How important do you think storytelling is in your branding and messaging and communication?
Storytelling is memorable, so it's definitely something that I will add into most of my clients' marketing messaging. But at the same time, it's not always effective depending on the industry you're working in. So, I mean, you could tell a story of Dr. So-and-so, who's the orthopedic surgeon and that sort of thing, but it's really not going to resonate with somebody the same way the story of the philanthropy that started and why they're doing what they're doing. So it really depends on who the client is and who the customer and who the business is.
Okay, great. I think we have a minute or two left. I want to leave this, and normally we'd be taking questions if was working with Zoom today, but I'm sure that going forward we'll have some questions posted, and I know that you'll be open to being able to answer those. So as you guys are watching this and some things are coming up in your head, please comment below the video, and Jen would be happy to respond back to you. Any parting thoughts, Jen, about as a business owner, the first steps of getting our head around who we are and what we represent?
So I guess my final thoughts on this is that it is a process that is a little painstaking. It's really hard as a business owner because you do love your business, and having to look inside yourself, it's a little therapeutic. So be ready to really look inside what you're trying to do, and be okay with having somebody help you along the way.
And how, in case we do need some help, how could people get in touch with you?
I have a website, I have email. We can put them all on the thread too as well.
Okay, perfect. So look underneath us and you will see how to get in touch with fabulous JetPak. And I appreciate your time, and we will learn for the next one why this didn't work correctly. But nevertheless, we have this recorded, and Jen, thanks so much for your time. And we will be in touch shortly, I'm sure.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.